Peace had finally settled on Earth after decades of chaos. Humanity had weathered countless wars, natural disasters, and struggles for survival. But now, after years of recovery, the world was united. The nations were working together, the economy was thriving, and the planet's technological advancements had reached new heights. Humans had learned to coexist with other alien species who had once been thought of as enemies. The future was looking bright for Earth. But one quiet day, something changed. It started as a strange blip on Earth's deep space sensors, a slight anomaly in the vastness of space. At first, the scientists assumed it was nothing, just a glitch in the system, perhaps a comet passing by or some cosmic interference. But when the signal continued to grow stronger over the next few hours, alarms went off. The signal was coming from deep in space, and it was huge, much larger than anything they had ever detected before. It wasn't just a malfunction. Something was coming. The leaders of Earth's governments were called to a meeting. The situation was urgent. The sensors were detecting an incoming fleet. The size of the fleet was impossible to ignore. It was massive, a fleet that could stretch across the sky. The people of Earth were puzzled. No one had seen anything like this before, and no one had the answers. Was it a new alien species, or a fleet from one of their allies? Whoever or whatever it was powerful. For days, Earth's top scientists worked tirelessly to try to identify the incoming fleet, but their efforts were in vain. There were no communications, no signals, and no way to understand the intentions of whoever was on the other end. The unknown ship just kept getting closer. Panic spread among the people of Earth. What if this was an invasion? What if the fleet came to destroy them? But the Earth's leaders stayed calm. They had been preparing for the possibility of something like this for years. They had learned from the mistakes of the past, and they knew how to deal with the unknown. They gathered intelligence, organized their defense systems, and sent out their own messages into space. They were ready for whatever came. Then, one fateful day, the truth became clear. The fleet had arrived. The first ship in the Galactic Council's armada broke through the atmosphere, and Earth's skies turned dark as more and more ships followed. The Galactic Council had arrived in full force. This was no ordinary fleet, and these were no ordinary invaders. The Galactic Council was an ancient interstellar organization, a coalition of hundreds of powerful alien races. They were known throughout the galaxy for their ruthlessness and dominance. The fleet filled the skies with darkness, casting shadows over entire cities. The ships were huge, their technology far more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen. Each ship was a massive fortress designed for war. The humans of Earth had never faced such overwhelming force. The message they received from the Galactic Council was clear. Earth was no longer a free planet. The Council had come to claim Earth's resources, strip the planet of its wealth, and force the humans into submission. As the Council's fleet loomed over Earth, they sent their demands. They wanted Earth's resources. They wanted access to humanity's technology. They wanted control. There was no room for negotiation. The Galactic Council was not here to make friends. Their message was simple. Earth was now under their control. But the response from Earth was not what the Council had expected. Rather than bowing to fear or submitting to the overwhelming force of the Galactic Council, Earth stood firm. The human leaders looked up at the skies, but instead of panic, they felt something else, a strange sense of calm. They had been preparing for this moment for years, and now the time had come to show the galaxy just what humanity was capable of. The Galactic Council's demands continued to flood in, each message more forceful than the last. But Earth's leaders remained unshaken. They were not afraid. They were not intimidated by the might of the Galactic Council's fleet. Humanity had faced worse before, and this time they were ready. The Council had no idea what they were about to face. The humans knew something the Galactic Council didn't. The Council thought they could easily take control of Earth, but they underestimated the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. What the Council didn't know was that Earth wasn't going to simply roll over and give up. The countdown to something big had already started. The Earth's response was a message of defiance. We will not surrender. We will not give in to your demands. Prepare yourselves. And just like that, the most shocking chapter in galactic history began. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, and now they would learn the hard way that humanity was not to be underestimated. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, but humanity's resolve had never been stronger. The humans had been preparing for this day for far longer than anyone realized. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake by underestimating the tenacity and spirit of Earth. What the Council didn't know was that their arrival would mark the beginning of their worst nightmare. The game was on. The countdown had begun, and Earth was ready to face whatever came next. The arrival of the Galactic Council was just the beginning. Earth's leaders had seen it coming for years, though the public was unaware of the quiet preparations happening behind the scenes. No one had ever imagined an event like this, but humanity had learned from the mistakes of the past. A long time ago, Earth had been caught off guard by alien invasions, but now, Earth was ready. The calm response to the Galactic Council's arrival was not because of fear, but because Earth's leaders knew something the Council didn't. They had been preparing in secret for this very moment. The people of Earth went about their daily lives, seemingly unaffected by the sudden appearance of the alien fleet. The skies above, filled with ships the size of cities, would be a cause for panic on any other planet. But here, on Earth, things were different. The calmness of the people was unsettling, almost eerie. The world's military forces were on high alert, but no one was running through the streets in panic. It was as though they had all seen something like this before. While the Galactic Council's fleet hovered ominously above the planet, the leaders of Earth met in secret. They gathered in underground bunkers, hidden away from the world, and began to discuss their next move. The Earth governments had been preparing for the arrival of the Galactic Council for decades. The secret preparations had started long before the Council's fleet even appeared on the horizon. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders had been working together, developing technologies and strategies to protect Earth from any possible threat. Most of these developments were kept hidden from the public. Only a select few knew what was coming. And they had a plan. In the days following the Council's arrival, Earth's military began to mobilize. The people of Earth had long since mastered space travel and had secretly built an advanced fleet of their own. The Council's fleet may have seemed like an unstoppable force, but the humans had something the Galactic Council didn't expect. A well-prepared, battle-hardened force that was ready to strike back. The first surprise came when Earth's military began activating its hidden defense systems. They had placed weapons in orbit, hidden deep within the moons of distant planets, and scattered throughout the solar system. These weapons, though cloaked and undetectable, were now active. And just like that, Earth had begun its counteroffensive. The Galactic Council had no idea they were about to be hit by weapons they couldn't even detect. As the days passed, Earth's leaders watched from their underground command centers, monitoring the Galactic Council's movements. The alien fleet was preparing to descend upon Earth's surface, sending demand after demand. But they never once suspected that Earth was already taking steps to defend itself. What the Galactic Council didn't know was that they were dealing with more than just a planet of humans. They were dealing with a species that had been preparing for an invasion for centuries. Earth's resistance had already begun, and with each passing hour, the chances of the Council succeeding grew slimmer. In response to the Council's demands, Earth's leaders broadcasted a message for the entire galaxy to hear. "We are not afraid," the message said. "We will not submit. We will protect our planet at all costs. Do not mistake our calm for weakness." The Galactic Council, who had expected a panicked, desperate response, were stunned. They had assumed humanity would cower at their superior firepower, that they would quickly surrender and submit to their will. But the humans were not like any species they had encountered before. The message from Earth sent a shiver down the spines of every member of the Galactic Council. At the same time, A covert operation was underway. Earth's military was already preparing to strike back, and this time, they wouldn't be caught off guard. The hidden fleet, designed in secrecy over the past decades, began to move into position. Dozens of ships, each equipped with advanced weapons and shields far beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever seen, were now ready for battle. The Galactic Council continued to issue demands, ordering Earth to surrender. But each message went unanswered. Earth wasn't intimidated. Earth wasn't afraid. The countdown had begun, and soon, the galaxy would witness what humanity was capable of. The Galactic Council had thought they were coming to take over a weak, defenseless planet. But what they hadn't realized was that Earth had already prepared for war that would change the course of galactic history forever. The Council had underestimated humanity. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The time had come for humanity to take a stand. The first shots had been fired, but the real battle was only just beginning. And this time, Earth would not back down. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, and they were about to find out just how costly that mistake would be. The first sign that something was different came when the Earth's defenses, hidden for so long, suddenly roared to life. A blast of energy shot out from deep within the solar system, a direct hit to one of the leading ships of the Galactic Fleet. It was a devastating attack, a force unlike anything the Council had experienced before. Their systems, sophisticated and powerful, faltered. Ships veered off course, their command systems temporarily disabled. Panic began to ripple through the ranks of the invaders. The Galactic Council's massive fleet, once confident in their overwhelming strength, was now under attack. But they hadn't seen it coming. The humans had been quiet, calculating. They had prepared in silence, building weapons and defenses hidden from prying eyes. And now, the first salvo had been fired. The Council's ships were strong, but Earth's unexpected offensive was more than just a surprise. It was a statement. Humanity was ready for war. The Galactic Fleet, shaken by the initial strike, quickly began to regroup. They were powerful, yes, but they had never faced a foe that fought back like this. Earth's military technology, once thought rudimentary in comparison to the mighty Galactic Council's, was proving to be far more advanced than anyone could have predicted. The invaders' fleet, meant to intimidate and overwhelm, now found itself fighting for survival. The humans had a hidden edge, and the Galactic Council didn't know how to respond. Earth's leaders, watching from their secure command center, saw the first victory on the screens in front of them. The attack had been swift, calculated, and successful, but this was just the beginning. The humans had more weapons, more ships, and more surprises waiting for their enemies. The Galactic Council's initial confusion only fueled Earth's resolve. The Council had assumed that humanity would crumble in the face of superior alien technology. Instead, they were now dealing with a planet united, a species willing to fight for their very existence. From the silence of their command center, Earth's leaders issued a message broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "This is our world," the message declared. "You are not welcome here. Leave now or face the consequences." The message was clear and resolute. Earth had taken the first step, and now there was no turning back. The Galactic Council, once so sure of their victory, now found themselves facing a humanity that was more than prepared for this conflict. Their greatest weapon, their overwhelming numbers and superior technology, was now in question. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the news spread. The people who had long lived in peace were now witnesses to the dawn of a new era. They weren't afraid. The attacks had been swift, but the humans were resilient. They weren't backing down. Across the globe, from every corner of the planet, there was only one message: we fight for our home. The Galactic Council, still reeling from the unexpected assault, began to issue threats. They sent more ships, more weapons, more of their terrifying force. They were determined to crush humanity, to show the galaxy that Earth would bow to their will. But every move they made was met with equal force. Earth wasn't backing down. And then the second strike came. Earth's hidden fleet, which had been quietly maneuvering into position for months, now revealed itself. Dozens of warships, each equipped with weapons that could rival the Galactic Council's best, erupted from their cloaked positions. Their sleek, dark forms cut through the stars, moving swiftly toward the enemy fleet. The Galactic Council's ships were caught off guard once again. The new arrivals came from unexpected angles, striking the Galactic fleet at their weakest points. Earth's military forces, now fully mobilized, fought back with precision and power. They coordinated their attacks flawlessly, hitting key targets with deadly accuracy. Ships that had once appeared invincible began to fall, their shields shattered, their engines crippled. The Galactic fleet began to retreat, their confidence turning into desperation. The humans were fighting harder than any of them had imagined. But the Galactic Council, despite their setbacks, refused to give up. They were a vast organization, with hundreds of different races and untold resources at their disposal. They were not used to failure, and as their fleet continued to retreat, they began to regroup, plotting their next move. They didn't yet realize that Earth's response was far more than just a defense. It was a message. Humanity wasn't fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their future, for their right to exist without the tyranny of the Galactic Council. Earth's message was being heard across the stars, loud and clear. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now they were about to see what it really meant to face the full might of Earth. As the battle raged on, Earth's leaders continued to work in the shadows, preparing their next move. The Galactic Council had made one mistake after another, and humanity was determined to make them regret every one. The first strike had been a warning. The second strike was a declaration, and there was more to come. The humans were just getting started. The Galactic Council's worst fears were becoming a reality. Earth was no longer a helpless planet. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council, once the undisputed rulers of the galaxy, now found themselves facing a dilemma they hadn't expected. Their vast fleet, which had been designed to crush any form of resistance, was faltering. What they had assumed would be a simple conquest of a primitive world was turning into an all-out war. Earth wasn't just defending itself. They were fighting back with an intensity and ingenuity that the Council had never anticipated. The first few losses had been unsettling, but the Council's leaders were confident that they could regroup. They underestimated humanity's ability to fight on multiple fronts. The sudden appearance of Earth's secret fleet had thrown their plans into disarray. What followed was an escalation. With each battle, Earth's forces grew bolder, and the Council's resolve began to crumble. In the war rooms of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was tense. Commanders barked orders, trying to stabilize the situation. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty as the reports continued to come in, each one worse than the last. Ship after ship, once proud and untouchable, was falling under Earth's relentless onslaught. The Galactic Council had one crucial advantage. They controlled most of the galaxy's resources, but now they were losing control of the very systems that made them powerful. The Galactic fleet tried to recover, sending reinforcements and calling for backup from distant sectors of the galaxy. But Earth's forces weren't backing down. Human ingenuity had created weapons that were more advanced than the Council could have imagined. The Earth defense systems, built over years of preparation, were now fully operational. Laser weapons, missile barrages, and electromagnetic pulses were making short work of the Council's fleet. As each ship fell, the Council grew more desperate. The thought of Earth actually winning this war was inconceivable. How had they managed to hide such a powerful military force? How had they built these weapons under their noses, without anyone noticing? They had underestimated the humans in every possible way. Desperation began to sink in. The Council, composed of hundreds of different races, each with their own pride and motivations, now found themselves united by one common goal: stop humanity at all costs. They sent out a desperate plea across the galaxy, calling for help from every corner of their domain. They promised rewards, untold riches, control over Earth's resources, and positions of power in the galaxy for those who helped them in their fight. But despite their efforts, help was slow to arrive. Many of the Council's allies had heard the stories. They had heard of humanity's resilience, their relentless will to survive. Some began to question whether aligning themselves with the Galactic Council was wise. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and Earth was at the heart of it. The first sign that the Council's desperation had reached its peak came when they sent a message to Earth. They requested a meeting. Earth's leaders, watching from their command centers, were prepared for this moment. The Galactic Council was asking for peace talks, but it was clear to everyone on Earth. This was not a plea for diplomacy. This was a desperate cry for mercy. The Galactic Council was willing to offer anything, from territories to power, if Earth would stop the assault. The message was broadcast across the world. It was a mixture of fear and desperation, a plea that Earth had never heard from their enemies before. The Galactic Council, the self-proclaimed rulers of the stars, were now begging for peace. But the humans knew this wasn't a gesture of goodwill. It was the last act of a defeated enemy. They knew the Council wanted to save face, to keep their power intact. But humanity wasn't about to back down. In a surprising twist, Earth's leaders chose not to reply with promises of peace. Instead, they issued their own message to the Galactic Council. Peace will come when Earth's rights are respected. You can leave now, or we will make you leave. The words were simple, but they carried weight. The Galactic Council had made one final miscalculation. They had assumed that humans would be afraid, that they would negotiate when faced with such overwhelming power. But humanity had already made up its mind. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their future, their freedom, and their independence. The Galactic Council, stunned by Earth's unwavering stance, began to realize that they might not win this war. Their best efforts, their most advanced technologies, had been neutralized by a species they had considered insignificant. The realization was crushing. They had made an enemy of humanity, and now that enemy was making their stand. And so, the stakes grew higher. The Galactic Council sent their best emissaries, their most trusted diplomats, to Earth, but their words carried little weight now. They were no longer negotiating from a position of power. The galaxy had watched as their mighty fleet was brought to its knees by a race they had thought weak and unworthy. The final blow to the Galactic Council's arrogance came when Earth's leaders turned the tables. Instead of asking for peace, they began to demand reparations. They wanted the Council's technology, their resources, and their influence. Humanity had learned quickly, and they weren't content with just surviving. They wanted to thrive. The tables had turned, and the Galactic Council now found itself in the position of having to negotiate on humanity's terms. The Galactic Council had never been in such a position of weakness. They had once been the predators, the ones who dictated terms. But now, they were the ones who had to beg. And Earth had had enough. Humanity wasn't just defending its home anymore. They were taking control of its destiny. The tables had turned. The Galactic Council's hopes of reversing the tide of the war were fading quickly. Earth's unrelenting defense had shaken their once invincible empire to its core. The situation had become so dire that even the most seasoned leaders within the Council were starting to question their next steps. What once seemed like a guaranteed victory for the galactic superpower was now turning into an uphill battle they couldn't win. The scales of power were tilting dangerously toward humanity. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world watched with bated breath. Every country, every nation, had joined forces in a united front. The conflict wasn't just in the skies. It had become a matter of national pride, a fight for survival, and most importantly, a fight for freedom. The global unity, once unimaginable due to years of divided interests, had solidified into an unwavering collective will. Earth was now a fortress, a world that had learned not just to survive but to dominate, and humanity had learned fast. Every encounter with the Galactic fleet had been a lesson, each battle teaching them something new. The resilience of the human spirit, paired with their ability to adapt and innovate, had created a war machine that the Council simply couldn't keep up with. Earth's response wasn't just military, it was psychological. The Galactic Council had underestimated how far humans would go when cornered. The Galactic Council, realizing they had no more tricks left, began to make a desperate attempt for diplomacy. They sent their top diplomats, trusted negotiators known for their ability to sway even the most stubborn of adversaries, to Earth with a simple message: peace talks. The diplomatic channels were open, but the message behind the request was clear. Humanity had won. They were willing to talk, but only on Earth's terms. Earth's leaders met to discuss the response. The weight of the decision hung heavy. Some felt it was time to end the conflict, to accept a peaceful resolution and rebuild. Others, however, were not so sure. What the Galactic Council had done, the destruction they had caused, was unforgivable. Humanity had shown restraint, but there was a limit to how far they would be pushed. The debate raged on in Earth's war rooms. Would peace be possible after so much bloodshed, after so many lives had been lost? Could humanity afford to forgive their invaders, even for the sake of diplomacy? At the heart of the discussion was one simple truth: Earth was no longer a defenseless planet. They had resources that the Galactic Council coveted, technologies that the Council had never imagined. But humanity was no longer interested in begging for peace or playing second fiddle. They didn't need the Galactic Council. What they needed was respect. They needed to ensure that no other alien species would dare look down on Earth again. With their resolve hardened, Earth's leaders decided not to accept the Council's terms as they were. They crafted a counteroffer, one that would leave no room for misinterpretation. The message was simple but uncompromising. Earth would no longer be at the mercy of anyone, especially not the Galactic Council. They demanded the immediate cessation of all hostilities and the return of all Earth's stolen resources. Additionally, Earth would claim equal status within the Galactic Council, no longer considered a mere planet to be ruled, but a sovereign power in its own right. The Galactic Council's diplomats returned to their leaders with the counteroffer in hand. As they read through the terms, they felt a chill run down their spines. The arrogance that had once fueled their every decision was now replaced with a deep sense of unease. Earth was asking for far more than just an end to the war. They were asking for a complete restructuring of the galactic balance of power. The Council was left with a bitter choice. If they refused, the war would continue, and they would risk everything. But agreeing to Earth's demands meant admitting their defeat and conceding their dominance over the galaxy. It was a decision they had never imagined having to make. The Galactic Council's once unimaginable power was slipping away, and they had no idea how to regain it. As the days passed, the Council convened in secret meetings, debating whether to accept or reject humanity's offer. Tensions ran high, but no clear answer emerged. The once proud empire was now caught in a web of their own making. Earth had turned the tables on them, and now the Council's fate rested in the hands of those they had sought to conquer. On Earth, humanity waited. Their patience was running thin, but they knew their moment was fast approaching. The message had been sent. They had offered peace, but it would only be on their terms. The countdown to the Galactic Council's decision had begun, and the outcome was uncertain. Would the Council swallow their pride and accept Earth's terms, or would they continue their futile attempts to dominate the planet? No one knew. But what was clear was this: humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And they weren't going to back down. The final chapter of this war was about to unfold, and whatever happened next would change the galaxy forever. The tension in the Galactic Council's war room was suffocating. For millennia, the Council had been the uncontested rulers of the galaxy, a coalition of powerful species that demanded loyalty from every corner of space. But now, Earth, a once insignificant speck on the galactic map, had become their greatest threat. The Council's diplomats had failed, Their fleets had faltered, and Earth had refused to bow. In the dimly lit chambers of the council, the leaders of the various races convened. The usual atmosphere of confidence was gone, replaced by an undercurrent of fear and uncertainty. Their once imposing fleets were now being pushed back, and they had no answers for how to handle the relentless human resistance. It was clear the Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The Council's highest-ranking members debated furiously. Their once unified front was starting to crack. Some advocated for a full retreat, others for an all-out assault on Earth's defenses, while a few suggested that surrender might be their only option. But no matter which course they considered, the same reality loomed over them. Earth had emerged as a force to be reckoned with. What do we do now? The leader of the Vraxian species asked, their many eyes scanning the room, filled with anxiety. We cannot defeat them. Their technology is advancing too rapidly, and their tactics are far beyond what we anticipated. The Zalarian representative, once a staunch proponent of the Galactic Council's superiority, now hesitated. I agree, he said, his voice shaky. We cannot continue this war, not without risking everything we've built. We have no choice but to negotiate. But how? They've made it clear they will not bend to our will. A silence fell over the room. The council members exchanged uneasy glances, and for the first time, they questioned the very foundation of their power. Earth had no fleet as vast as theirs, no ancient weapons or centuries of experience in galactic dominance. But Earth had something far more dangerous: the will to fight, to survive, and an unmatched capacity for innovation and adaptability. The head of the Galactic Council, an ancient being known only as the Sovereign, stood up. His voice, once commanding and filled with authority, now carried a weight of desperation. We cannot afford to lose this war, the Sovereign said, his voice laced with frustration. We must find a way to either break them or convince them. If they reject our peace offer, we may have no choice but to destroy them completely. Destruction? The Vraxian asked, raising an eyebrow. That would destroy our entire galaxy, Sovereign. We need Earth, their resources, their knowledge. Destroying them would be a foolish move. I agree, the Zalarian added. Our mission was not to annihilate humanity, but to conquer it. We need to salvage this situation, find a way to make Earth surrender. The tension in the room was palpable as the Sovereign considered his options. His eyes glowed faintly in the darkness as he weighed the future of the galaxy. Should they pursue a final, all-out war to crush Earth and its newfound resolve, or should they humble themselves and accept humanity's terms? The thought of appearing weak in front of the entire galaxy was unbearable, but the thought of total destruction was far worse. Meanwhile, on Earth, the countdown to the Galactic Council's decision continued. Humanity stood on the edge of a precipice, knowing that whatever decision the Council made next would decide the fate of the galaxy. But there was no turning back. Earth had proven its strength, and now it was time for the Galactic Council to face the consequences of their arrogance. In the war rooms of Earth, the global leaders remained calm. They had played their cards, and now it was up to the Council to decide how far they were willing to go. Earth's defense systems stood strong, and humanity's resolve was unwavering. But what was happening behind the scenes on the Galactic Council's side was something no one on Earth could have predicted. The Council, once so certain of its dominance, was now cornered, vulnerable, and uncertain of its future. Back in the Council's chambers, the Sovereign finally spoke again. His voice was low, almost reluctant. We will extend one last offer. A final chance for humanity to prove it has the wisdom to accept its place in the galaxy. But if they reject it, we will unleash everything we have. Earth will learn that no species, no matter how resilient, can survive against the full might of the Galactic Council. The room fell silent once more. The decision had been made. As the Galactic Council prepared to send their final offer to Earth, the fate of both the galaxy and humanity hung in the balance. Whatever happened next would change the course of history forever. Would humanity accept the Council's terms, or would they continue to fight for their freedom, their place in the stars? The countdown to the final confrontation had begun, and all eyes were on Earth. The day had arrived. The Galactic Council's final offer was transmitted to Earth, a message of peace, or so they hoped. It was their last attempt at salvation, their desperate plea to avoid total annihilation. The galaxy's most powerful coalition had placed their pride on the line, but would humanity accept their terms, or had the time for diplomacy run out? On Earth, leaders gathered in a secure, underground war room. The room buzzed with tension as screens flickered with real-time data and updates from across the planet. For weeks, Earth had been preparing for this very moment, gathering resources, reinforcing defenses, and mentally steeling themselves for the inevitable decision. There was no turning back now. This would determine not only Earth's future but the future of the galaxy. As the message from the Galactic Council appeared on the screen, Earth's leaders sat in silence. The words were polite, even cordial, but beneath them lay a thinly veiled threat. The Council offered peace, with terms for Earth's integration into the galactic fold. They promised protection, but only if Earth agreed to comply with their demands, surrender resources, allow the Council's influence to spread, and bend the knee to their will. But Earth had already made its choice. In the room, the representatives of Earth's nations exchanged looks of unwavering resolve. The leader of the United Earth Coalition stood up, her eyes scanning the room. She was not a woman of many words, but the weight of her expression said it all. Humanity had no intention of surrendering. Earth was not a prize to be claimed. It was a force to be respected. "We've already given them our answer," she said, her voice cold and clear. "We don't negotiate with threats. They wanted to push us into submission, but they've underestimated us. Now, it's our turn to act." As she spoke, images flashed on the screens. Massive fleets of human warships, newly developed weapons, and innovative technologies, all hidden in plain sight. Earth had been preparing for this moment for years. What the Galactic Council didn't know was that Earth had already learned from every encounter, every battle, and every moment of tension. They had taken the lessons of survival, resilience, and ingenuity and used them to build the most formidable force the galaxy had ever seen. The decision was made. Humanity would not bow. Instead, they would rise. They would face the Galactic Council and show them what it meant to challenge Earth. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Council waited anxiously for Earth's response. They were prepared for either outcome, but they hadn't expected this level of defiance. They had miscalculated everything. Earth's resilience, their technology, their will to fight. The Council had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. As the deadline for Earth's response approached, the tension reached a fever pitch. The Galactic Council sent one last plea, a final offer to negotiate, one last attempt to avert war. But humanity had already made up its mind. The message was simple. "We will not be your servants. We will not be your subjects. We are humanity, and you have underestimated us." The Council's emissaries watched in stunned silence as Earth's message was sent back. There was no fear in it, no plea for mercy, just unyielding defiance. The Galactic Council was faced with a stark reality. They had no leverage left. Their fleets were in disarray, their negotiations had failed, and their arrogance had led them to this point. Earth, once a peaceful planet on the fringes of galactic power, was now a formidable force in its own right. The final decision was made. The Galactic Council would not back down, but Earth was ready. The countdown to the final confrontation had begun. The fate of the galaxy, the future of humanity, and the balance of power in the universe hung in the balance. Would the Galactic Council destroy Earth, or would humanity rise victorious against the most powerful force in the galaxy? As the first shots were fired, the galaxy would witness something it had never seen before, a war not fought with mere might, but with the undying spirit of humanity. The story of Earth's rise to power was just beginning, and the Council would soon learn the true meaning of underestimating humanity. The countdown had started, and there was no going back. The final battle was upon them.